Hello, it's Alan here again from ABTS Training Services, London, England. As you know, I've told you before, I get requests on these videos on YouTube. Oh, could you talk about this? Could you talk about that? So what I've done again, I've put together your requests, and I've put them into a little video, and I'm calling it by the great name, International Shipping Terms. So here we go. And the first question I was asked was, could you explain what BAF and CAF means and what they stand for? And I thought, yeah, okay, here we go. BAF, Bunker Adjustment Factor. CAF, Currency Adjustment Factor. Now, I know that means nothing to you, so let me go into more detail. And let's go back a bit. When a vessel is going to go on a voyage, let's just say from Baltimore in the States to Felixstowe in the UK, they undertake what is known as a voyage estimate. You know, how much is going to take me to get there? And they put all the cost centers together. And one of them is the oil, the bunkerage they're going to use. And they buy that at so many dollars a barrel. So just let's say, for argument's sake, it's $59 a barrel, and they cost their voyage on that. We need 2,000 barrels at $59 a barrel. That's what it's going to cost us for the fuel. But when they actually pump it in, so to speak, into the vessel, it's $64. So they've estimated at one price, the actual price is the other. Now they're going to lose money for obvious reasons, so they never do. They adjust it, and they charge you a percentage to compensate in the fluctuation of the price of oil, and they call it bunker adjustment factor. So that's BAF, bunker adjustment factor, to compensate for a variation in the price of oil. And it is very involved. You can read books on it. So I'm making it into a very elementary example for you by saying they buy the oil at this price. They estimate the oil at this price, but they buy it at that price. So there's a gap. And they make up the gap by paying you, the shipper has to pay. Bunker adjustment factor. CAF is currency adjustment factor, money. And there again, it's to compensate for fluctuation in the currency. They could be working in dollars. They have, they're getting their revenue at a particular port in sterling. So they converting the dollars into sterling before they set up the prices for a 20-foot container. But when they actually get those sterling in, the dollar is against it this time. So they've got to make up for it. So they charge you currency adjustment factor. So BAF and CAF are legit, they're legal. They can vary from what port of departure the vessel is going from. And usually you are given pre-warning that a BAF and a CAF is going to come in on your prices. So you have a basic price, and then you'll be told BAF is 10%, CAF is 12%. And they're both taken off the basic price they quoted you for the container. Okay, so that's BAF and CAF. I hope it solves the problem for those of you who asked me to explain what BAF and CAF is. Okay, I was asked, what are liner terms? You will see on a bill of lading, subject to liner terms. Well, basically, what liner terms is that in your freight rate, okay, let's use $2,000 for a container. Liner terms. Liner terms means that includes the loading of the container to the vessel and the unloading at the port of discharge. So if you were trading under liner terms and you got an invoice, an extra invoice for loading to vessel, unloading, you just tell them, go take a hike. We're working on liner terms. So that's what it is. It includes loading and unloading of your container to the vessel and from the vessel, liner terms. Then you have another expression I've been asked. What is free in, free out, or FIO? Now, that's the opposite to liner terms, and it's usually used in chartering. You will charter a vessel, but you have to pay extra to load it, and you're given so many days to do so, and to unload it, and you're given so many days or a week, whatever the charter agreement allows. So that's called free in, free out, or FIO. The opposite to liner. You do pay to load the vessel. You do pay to discharge the cargo. Okay, normally associated with charter vessels and not our commercial type of liner trade. Okay, THC. THC is the abbreviation for terminal handling charges. Okay, let us look at a port, any port in the world, and think of it as a car park, which is easy as that. It's a car park, but you don't park cars there, you park cargo. You deliver cargo, you deliver your bulk cargo, you deliver your container cargo to that port. Now think about it. That port has to employ people. They have ginormous big cranes lifting your containers. They have people running around all the places. Okay, now who pays their salary? Who pays for the movement of your container, the documentation, the computer entry, etc.? Who pays for that? You, basically. They will charge you terminal handling charges to handle your cargo. Just as you go into a car park and you pay by the hour to sit there, you pay the port, not the shipping line, the port to put your cargo down and for them to move it around. THCs, your THCs, terminal handling charges. Now, some people wrongly call that FOB charges. Now, on a personal level, I haven't a clue where that one came from. It's utterly wrong. But I've been asked, what are your FOB charges? Well, what they're saying is, what's your THCs, basically. Okay, so we've just looked at a few snappy ones, BAF, CAF, liner terms, free in, free out, and terminal handling charges. So I've answered those questions, as I say, in response to people asking me to do so, and I hope I answer them adequately for you. Okay, I was also asked by one particular person, they said they were totally baffled when they spoke to a shipping line and the shipping line quoted them for freight rates. A shipping line, I stress that. And they would say to me, like, how do you calculate the freight for a container? It's all kind of black magic to me. I really don't know what's going on. Okay, so here we go. Here's a quick gallop around freight rates for containers. We start with the easy one. A full container load, an FCL, a full container load. Now, a full container load, as I'm sure most of you know, but to remind you, is when a shipper utilizes a full container. Hence the word full container load. You put in enough cargo in that container, in a 20-foot container, 33 cubic meters or thereabouts, and that is your container. So a full container load. When you ask a shipping line, and I stress shipping line, I didn't say freight forwarder, a shipping line, for give me a price, please, for a full container load. From Baltimore to Felixstowe, they will say it's simplicity itself. They will say nowadays they will say $6,954 plus CAF of 4% plus BAF at 3%. So you know what you're talking about when they say to you plus calf and bath. And it's straightforward. It's a lump sum. You don't have to really think about this. End of story. Now, for LCL shipping is less than a container load. When you might have just about 4 cubic meters and 2,000 kilos, you are not going to pay for a full container because 3/4 of it would be empty. So you go in and you co-share one container with many other companies, and you might have 20, 30, 40 shippers putting all their little parcels as such in a container. So now you ask the shipping line, can you give me a rate for a LCL from Baltimore to Felixstowe? And they will turn around and say something like this. It's example 1 on your screen. They say, yeah, 59 WM, and they put the phone down. and you say to yourself, what the heck is going on? 59 WM. Well, let me explain it to you. As you can see on the screen under example 1, it says $59 WM with a minimum of $128. Let's put that in plain speak. For LCL consignments, you pay by weight or measure, by 1,000 kilos weight or 1 cubic meter measure. So when they say $59 WM, they say $59 for every unit of 1,000 kilos, or for every unit of 1 cubic meter, whichever is the greatest. But if it doesn't hit 1,000 kilos and it doesn't hit a cubic meter, as an example 2, it's just $128 minimum. So let's just work that equation out. When it came to mathematics in my school days, which is many, many years ago, I used to freeze when we got algebraic equations up, or trigonometry, or anything like that. Any equation used to set me mad, and especially the one where they say two trains, one leaves station A, and it's doing 20 miles an hour at 2 o'clock, and another one leaves at station B at 10 past 2 doing 30 miles an hour. What time will they meet? I used to think, is it really important, when 2 trains meet on a railway track? But what I'm trying to say is it would give me the gollywobbles, any equation. So this is about the depth of my understanding an equation. So let's go. You have 2,970 kilos. You would divide that by 1,000, because remember, it's per units of 1,000 kilos. So you divide that by 1,000, and you had 1.275 cubic meters. Okay, and there you have 1.275. So that's per unit of 1 cubic meter. So you divide that by 1. And your answer is 2.970 kilos, and the cubic meters stay the same, 1.275. Now, don't all rush to shout the answer out, but which is the greater of the two of those? Well, obviously, it's 2.975. 2.970. I told you I was bad at equations. 2.970 multiplied by 59, so it's going to cost you $175.23 for a consignment of 2,970 kilos and 1.275 cubic meters. But let's go to sample 2. If you only had 275 kilos and 0.678 cubic meters, you wouldn't even have a ton in weight or 1 cubic meter, so it'd be minimum. You don't do fractions of it. It's a minimum. So the minimum of 128 will kick in. So it would cost you, in example 1, $175.23 in an example. 2, it would be minimum in red, minimum of £128. Now, I hope that helped you understand how freight rates are worked out. But I would say to you that, and I emphasize to you that that was going direct to a shipping line. If you went to a freight forwarder, the freight forwarder would work that out for you and just call you back or send you an email and say, that will be that will be $175.23. In fact, he wouldn't. He would put his profit on top of that. But he would work it all out. And that's why people use freight forwarders. You know, they just want to kind of lay back and say, do it for me. So if you go direct to the shipping lines, they expect you to be a knowledgeable exporter. They don't hold your hand. They don't spoon feed you and explain these little formulas to you. You know, they just say 59 weight measure, goodbye, and the phone goes down. So when it comes to a freight forwarder, they say the same thing to a freight forwarder, but the freight forwarder knows how to work it out. He adds his profit, they add their profit, and they contact you. And they tell you it's $954 because they've included their profit on there. So again, for those who ask me about, can I explain how a freight rate for a full container load and a less container load is worked out, there you go. That's how it's worked out. I'm going to finish here, but before I do, a word of caution or a tip, whichever way you want to look at it. I said to you, CAF and BAF are legit charges. And I told you THCs are legit charges. Nobody squabbles about that. But this is where the crunch is. Some, I emphasize the word some freight forwarders will add a fictitious BAF and CAF and pump up the THCs to earn more money at your ignorance and expense. Now, I'm not saying all freight forwarders do. I was a freight forwarder for many, many years and crossed my heart, hope to die. I never did it. I know a lot of my colleagues who used to boast about the fact that their shippers were so ill-informed. They used a stronger word, but ill-informed, that they could basically abuse them financially any way they wanted to. And I've known, going into companies, I've known the export clerks in those companies come over to me and say, Alan, what's CAF and BAF? I would tell them as I told you. And they say, well, our freight forwarders always charging us CAF and BAF. Is it always there? I said, well, no, not always there. There is a legit reason, a fluctuation, blah, blah, blah. But no, not always there. And they would say to me, but they've been doing it for years. They always charge us BAF and CAF. And then when we ask them, they just say, well, it's part of the shipping costs. Okay. And it's the same with THCs. THCs are fixed costs. You don't pull them out of your head, which some freight forwarders do. And they will charge you twice. And they make it very plausible as, oh, well, you know, we've got to do this and they've got to do that. And it's very expensive and blah, 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 blah. But be very careful. Be very careful. Now, here's my super tip. If you charge THCs and you want to check them out, if you're charged by a freight forwarder and you want to check it out, go on to the shipping line's website. Usually, they will show you there the BAF and CAF. I had a relapse there. Please forgive me. If you are charged BAF and CAF by a freight forwarder, just ask them, what shipping line are you using? Oh, line X. Okay, thank you. And go on to line X, onto the website. And go down and scroll down. And normally you see the current BAF and CAF charges from a certain port. It's quite easy. So, yeah, your freight forwarder is honest. They quoted you 12% CAF and 10% BAF, and it is 10 and 12% on the website. But you might find there's no CAF and BAF. And you might send a quick email out. Can you please tell me the CAF and BAF? Da-da-da-do. And it comes back, we are not levying CAF and BAF on this voyage. So either you go down with a stout stick and visit your freight forwarder, or you change your freight forwarder. And it's the same with terminal handling charges. You can go onto the port website. And some of these port websites are brilliant. You know, they have cameras everywhere, and in real time you can see them loading vessels, and you know, it's very, very interesting. And you'll see the THCs, how much we charge. These are our charges. The Port of Baltimore charges, THCs, blah, 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 so many dollars, so many dollars. And then you can go back and you can say to your freight forwarder, I think you made a bit of a mistake there. The THCs are not as advertised on their website. Now, please don't get me wrong on a very serious note. Do not get me wrong. I am not saying that you are going to be ripped off by every freight forwarder there is. What I am saying, with about 35, 38 years experience in the trade, that it happens. And that many freight forwarding companies, small ones usually, love to get customers who are utterly ignorant about shipping. And what they say to you is don't worry, Alan, we look after all of that for you. We don't even charge you. Just, you know, don't use your brain. Just leave it to me. I get your freight rates. I'll explain what CAF and BAF is to you. And I give you terminal handling charges and et cetera, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes these guys are purposely saying that because they want to keep you down. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know. And I was reading a lovely article about, oh goodness me, 8-9 years ago now, in a freight journal. And it was for air freight, not sea freight, air freight. And it said, this is the airline talking, it said, we charge the freight forwarder, and I'm just making this up myself, but the percentage difference is correct. We charge a freight forwarder 76, in this case was pence, 76 pence a kilo. But on their house airway bill, we see £4.25 per kilo. So here's a freight forwarder who is just ripping off his client because the client hasn't a clue. He hasn't a clue about air freight rates. He hasn't a clue. And that's quite common. By the way, in my next video, I'm going to do air freight rates, so you will all have a clue about the massive discrepancies in what you should be charged and what you are charged sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to finish here. I hope I satisfied all of you out there who asked me these questions, and I hope I answered them to your satisfaction. As always, it's nice talking to you. Please keep the questions coming in. Please. I really do like answering them. And now, as I always say, I think around this way, here comes the commercial. And remember who we are, please. abtslogistics.co.uk on your screen. And we are training providers, online training providers and consultants. for international trade. Please look at our website there and you will see on it that we offer you 3 courses. We offer you a course, an online course on documentary letters of credit. We offer you a course on import and export, which really kind of covers what we've been doing today to a great extent. And the 3rd course we run is on agencies, how to become an agent, if you want to become an agent, commission agent, stockist agent, and etc., etc. So have a look at us, see what you think about it. Please keep the suggestions coming in here. I've lots of webinars up here that I want to do, but I rather focus them on actual stories you want to hear, actual subjects you want me to discuss. Okay, so until the next time, goodbye. Keep well, keep safe, and see you around next time. Bye now.